Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Addiction Solutions with Roselle. So glad that you could join me again for another episode. Man, it's been a thrill working with this, and I'm just loving it, and I'm hoping that you are too. Again, as I say at the beginning of every episode, go to YouTube, type in Addiction Solutions with Roselle, and subscribe. It's free. And there's information on those videos that could help you, friends, family, neighbors, co-workers, church members. You don't know who's going through addiction. So subscribe, like I said, it's free, doesn't cost anything, and just view the videos. And again, I'm going to talk about briefly my books. My first book, 366 Days of Recovery, a guide for the recovering person. My first year in recovery. The second book is 365 Days of Recovery. You have to fail in order to succeed. And so the first book really coincides with this manual. But both books, they are a daily guide. There's a title to that day. There's a description of that day and an inspirational quote at the end. So if you need the book or want the book, you can contact me on my Facebook page or Messenger, or you can give me a call, 810-265-0115, and I will get you the book autographed, because that's the only way you can get it autographed without having to come to me or something of that nature. You can order the book, or but the best way to get it is come to me, and I'll give you the details, how to get it. I'll sign it, autograph it, and get it to you. All right, let's get into the show. We're still in the manual. Remember, it's a 21-point manual. I've covered point 1, 2, 3. Now, we're going to cover the fourth point. The fourth point talks about 12-step literature. Now, point number 3 talked about the 12-step meetings. Now, we're going to talk about the 12-step literature. So the literature that I am familiar with is Narcotics Anonymous and some of Alcohol Anonymous. But here's what I'm going to tell you, and I'm reading from my notes. So, I haven't memorized this, but I'm going to read from my notes. It says in chapter 4, it talks about the 12-step literature. It covers the importance of having the necessary tools in your toolbox to prevent relapse. That's what we're trying to do here, is prevent it. The literature gives you a complete range of scenarios that can prevent relapse and help you to recover and to help you continue in the process of recovery. So remember, we talked about processes, and the process of recovery is similar to the process of relapse. They both have steps. So the process of recovery is so important, and it's so vital because it doesn't happen in a day. It's a daily process. So relapse is the same. You start off by number 1. You stop doing these things I have in here. You don't go to meetings, you don't talk to nobody, you don't read literature no more. You're setting yourself up. So the disease sneaks in while you're vulnerable. You have no more protection because you've let the protection go. And so now, they're ready for attack. So with your literature, just say if you missed a meeting or a couple, you got your literature you can read. And when you read that literature over and over, it hits you. I mean, it's powerful. It's like a knockout punch. Boom! Get to a meeting. Call your sponsor. Call someone. Because you can't do this alone. This is no such thing as a one-man show. Because if it was, there would never have been these meetings set up like this. Alcohol Anonymous started with 2 regular individuals, a doctor and a stockbroker, and so they had relapsed so much until they decided to get 12-step meetings going. And at first, man, this was not popular. These meetings were done in a house, and, still it was undercover. They didn't want nobody to know. And so when I did my thesis in college, why do substance abusers relapse after long periods of sobriety, I used a quote from one of the participants that started the 12-step meetings, and after all the relapses he had been through. I'm talking about having his life together and boom, relapsing, life together, boom, relapsing, life together, relapsing. And so he was married, and it was just one of those days when everything was right, where he was just so grateful. He felt so blessed that he was not drinking. And he stood by the window, and the sun was shining in. I know you've all been there, where, hey, the bills are paid. I've had a good meal. The sun's shining in. What do I have to worry about? And his main thought was, if I only had a drink. That was powerful. And that's why I had to put that in that paper. Because we've all been there, where it was all together. I mean, we had it all together. We had did what was necessary to put our lives back on track. And it hit us in our head, if I only had a blow, if I only had a rock, if I only had a joint, if I only had a drink, if I only had the dice, if I only had the cards, if I only had the food, if I only had the sex, if I only could shop, if I only had one credit card. And what we say is, one is too many and 1,000 is never enough. If we could only do one, this would be unnecessary. We wouldn't have to do this. But we tried, and we tried over and over and over. And all it did was show our failure. Now, we failed at that, but that doesn't mean we're a failure. We failed at this because we got a disease that's progressive, incurable, and fatal. Yes, it's progressive, and there's no cure. And it does have some fatality to it. Now, there are some people that think they've recovered. But back to what my first therapist, Ross, said, Roselle, you'll be recovered 3 days after you're dead. As long as you're alive and breathing, you're in the process of recovery. That means every day you have to deny your actions of picking up one. Because one's too many and 1,000 is never enough. So, we're going to stop right there. And next week, I'm enjoying this. I hope you are too. Tell your family, tell your friends. I want to see you back here next week. Tell them that this is something that they might need to listen to. And I'll see you then. Have a blessed day. Love you, and I'll talk to you soon.